most I've evacuated is 13 people.
The Russians haven't stopped, shelling all around us, including with cabs, tanks, and all sort of, projectile. We've entered Pokrovsk the night before with a unit from the 68th Jaeger Brigade manning an epicenter, a Soviet-made recoilless gun. Their position is a basement in some abandoned building close to the city between 1.5 and 2 kilometers to the Russians. We're as near to the enemy's positions as possible to hit them without endangering the team. The crew is constantly on alert for drone sounds as artillery blasts get closer. The unit's SPG, hidden not far from the cellar, is designed to destroy tanks, self-propelled artillery and other light armored vehicles up to 6 kilometers with 73mm projectiles. They're not precisely mortars, but the same kind of crew is manning them. Nemets, the unit's commander, checks some coordinates, draws to pass the time and sets up his removable dip compass, a crucial part to aim correctly.
Without it, the gun won't shoot. We adjust it like that. It must be attached to the weapon itself and is specially calibrated to work in sync with it. A good hit can cause more damage than an FPV. It's pretty convenient. Load it, aim it on command, that's it. I think the Russians really fear a skilled gunner who knows how to work with this weapon. There are no feelings, no pity, nothing like that. I wish them the worst of the worst. The worst things that can be wished to someone who has attacked or invaded our land, our territory. We're at home. I have no pity, nothing.
So, this is right now the further and will go before orders to go out because, as you can see, it's very bright outside. And I'm not sure if you hear that, but yeah, there's a lot going on outside.
Night has fallen. We hide near an abandoned building waiting for the car to pick us up. And behind another building. While we wait, a buzzing sound approaches. It's a drone and not Ukrainian. It stands over us for seconds that feel like an eternity. Bombs keep falling around. By the sound of it, grads and cabs, a few in a row. When the car arrives, it is time to run again and jump in. We drive off. We're not safe yet, but we are far from the danger faced by the guys who will have to spend another 2 days in this freezing cellar to try and keep the Russians at bay. New day, same 68th Jaeger Brigade and in the same Pokrovsk direction, but a different unit. It's time for us to meet a crew in charge of US-made MaxxPro armored vehicle to understand how they use them on the battlefield in this area of the Donetsk region.
It's used for things like transporting infantry to positions, evacuating infantry from positions, engaging the enemy, and during assault actions. For example, in enemy positions, there's a Browning 12.7mm machine gun with a gunner to engage the target. Well, usually, there are 6 people and some from the other rotation. So we can bring in 7 people. During the evacuations, it depends on how many people there are. The most I've evacuated is 13 people.
The MaxxPro was first used by the US in Afghanistan. The US delivered roughly 400 to Ukraine so far. They can weigh up to 14 tons and are pretty easy to use, thanks to the straightforward panels inside, the soldiers from this brigade tell us. The MaxxPro is an MRAP, a mine-resistant vehicle. They had to adapt it with some electronic warfare system to avoid being spotted by Russian FPVs as much as possible. But drones swarm here.
These are from shrapnel. Well, yes. They also were torn off, and then they were patched up. Here, this is from an FPV. In terms of quality, the vehicle is quite good, powerful and solid. The only downside is that it's a bit too tall, so enemies can spot it from a distance.
Which direction is the hardest, Kharkiv or Pokrovsk?
Here,
Why?
well, the fighting is more intense here. Plus, there's involvement with drones. In Kharkiv, this wasn't the case. There were battles, but no drones. The Russians stormed our positions a lot in the summer.
And now, are things stable?
More or less. They keep coming, but not as much at least.
As winter disappears and spring comes, Russian assaults will undoubtedly become more frequent, but the men seem ready to hold them off.